Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm absolutely delighted you've joined me today for what I believe will be one of our most transformative discussions yet. Today, we're diving deep into a skill that can quite literally change the trajectory of your personal and professional life, the art of thinking fast and speaking smart. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Surely, quick thinking and eloquent speaking are innate talents that some people are simply born with. Well, I'm here to tell you that's categorically false. These are learnable skills, backed by neuroscience and cognitive psychology, that anyone can develop with the right strategies and consistent practice. Whether you're preparing for job interviews, wanting to excel in meetings, hoping to become more confident in social situations, or simply aiming to articulate your thoughts more clearly, today's discussion will provide you with practical, research-backed techniques that you can implement immediately. Before we delve into the practical strategies, let's understand what's actually happening in our brains when we think quickly and speak effectively. When we're put on the spot, our brains undergo what neuroscientists call cognitive load. Essentially, we're processing information whilst simultaneously formulating responses under time pressure. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for executive functions like planning and decision-making, works in tandem with our memory centers to retrieve relevant information. However, stress and anxiety can hijack this process, triggering our amygdala and flooding our system with cortisol, which actually impairs our cognitive performance. The fascinating thing is that people who appear to think quickly aren't necessarily processing information faster than others. Rather, they've developed mental frameworks and patterns that allow them to organize their thoughts efficiently. Think of it like having a well-organized filing system versus a cluttered desk. Both contain the same information, but one allows for much quicker retrieval. Research from Stanford University shows that our working memory can typically hold about 7 pieces of information simultaneously. Quick thinkers have learned to chunk information effectively, grouping related concepts together to maximize their cognitive capacity. Moreover, studies in cognitive psychology reveal that confidence plays a crucial role in our perceived intelligence and speaking ability. When we feel confident, we speak more clearly, use more precise language, and make fewer verbal fillers like and This creates a positive feedback loop. The more confidently we speak, the more others perceive us as knowledgeable, which in turn boosts our confidence further. Understanding this neurological foundation is crucial because it demonstrates that quick thinking and smart speaking aren't mysterious talents. They're the result of specific, trainable cognitive processes.
Now, let's dive into our first practical framework, the PREP method. PREP stands for point, reason, example, and point again. This structure is absolutely brilliant for organizing your thoughts quickly, particularly when you're asked unexpected questions or need to make impromptu statements. Let me break this down for you. Point. Start with your main message or position. This should be clear, concise, and immediately understandable. For instance, I believe remote working increases productivity. Reason. Explain why you hold this position. Provide the logic or evidence behind your point. This is because remote workers experience fewer office distractions and can create personalized work environments that suit their productivity patterns.
For example, a recent study by Buffer found that 22% of remote workers cited fewer distractions as their top productivity benefit, whilst companies like GitLab have reported maintaining high productivity levels with entirely distributed teams. Therefore, when implemented thoughtfully, remote working can indeed significantly enhance productivity. The beauty of PrEP lies in its versatility and memorability. You can use it for anything from answering interview questions to giving presentations or even participating in casual debates. It provides a logical flow that audiences can easily follow, whilst giving you a reliable structure to hang your thoughts upon. Practice this framework with everyday topics first. When someone asks your opinion about a film, a restaurant, or current events, consciously apply PrEP. The more you use it, the more automatic it becomes. Eventually, you'll find yourself naturally organizing complex thoughts into this clear, persuasive structure without conscious effort. What's particularly powerful about PrEP is that it forces you to think critically about your positions. You can't simply state opinions, you must consider why you hold them and what evidence supports them. This naturally elevates the quality of your communication and makes you appear more thoughtful and credible.
Our second framework draws inspiration from Pixar's storytelling methodology, the story spine technique. This approach is particularly effective when you need to explain complex situations, provide context, or make your communication more engaging and memorable. The story spine follows this pattern. Once upon a time, every day, until one day, because of that, repeat as needed, until finally, ever since then. Now, you needn't literally use these fairy tale phrases in professional settings, but the underlying structure is extraordinarily powerful. Let me demonstrate with a business example. Previously, our team struggled with project delays. Typically, we'd start projects enthusiastically, but inevitably encounter scope creep and communication breakdowns. Then, we implemented weekly sprint reviews. This led to better stakeholder communication, which resulted in clearer requirements, which ultimately reduced our revision cycles by 40%. Since implementing this system, we've delivered every project on time. This structure works because it mirrors how our brains naturally process and remember information. We're hardwired to understand narratives. They provide causality, progression, and resolution. When you frame your responses as many stories, you're not just conveying information, you're creating a memorable experience for your audience.
The story spine is particularly useful for explaining how problems were solved, describing career transitions or personal growth, presenting case studies or project outcomes, making data and statistics more relatable. Practice identifying the story spine in everyday anecdotes. When a colleague mentions a challenge they overcame, listen for the natural progression, the setup, the complication, the turning point, and the resolution. This will train your mind to recognize these patterns and apply them in your own communication. Remember, people don't just want information, they want to understand the journey and transformation. The story spine technique ensures your communication has both logical flow and emotional resonance, making you a more compelling and memorable speaker. Moving beyond basic frameworks, let's explore advanced techniques that will genuinely accelerate your mental processing and enhance your speaking sophistication. The bridging technique. This involves connecting unexpected questions to topics you're well prepared to discuss. Politicians and media professionals use this constantly. When faced with a difficult question, they acknowledge it briefly, then bridge to their key messages, using phrases like, "That's an interesting point, and it relates to something I think is crucial," or "What's really important to consider here is..." The key is having 3 to 5 core themes you can confidently discuss in any context. These become your islands of expertise that you can navigate towards from virtually any starting point. The pause and power technique. Contrary to popular belief, speaking quickly doesn't necessarily make you appear smarter. Strategic pauses can dramatically increase your perceived authority and give your brain precious moments to organize thoughts. A well-placed pause after a question shows you're considering your response thoughtfully rather than simply reacting. Practice this. When asked a question, take a genuine pause, 2 to 3 seconds, make brief eye contact, then begin speaking. This pause eliminates verbal fillers and creates anticipation for your response. The perspective shifting method. Train yourself to examine topics from multiple angles rapidly. When discussing any subject, consciously consider the immediate perspective, the broader context, the historical view, the future implications, and the opposing viewpoint. This mental agility allows you to provide nuanced, sophisticated responses that demonstrate comprehensive thinking.
The compression technique. Practice explaining complex concepts in progressively shorter time frames. Start with a 5-minute explanation, then compress it to 2 minutes, then 30 seconds. This forces you to identify the absolute essential elements and eliminates unnecessary verbiage. Physicists call this scaling, the ability to discuss phenomena at different levels of detail depending on your audience. Knowledge without application remains theoretical, so let's discuss specific exercises you can implement immediately to develop these skills. Daily practice routines. The mirror method. Spend 5 minutes daily explaining random topics to yourself in the mirror. Set a timer, pick a subject from the news or your professional field, and deliver a 2-minute impromptu speech using the PrEP framework. This builds comfort with spontaneous speaking whilst allowing you to observe your body language and delivery. The elevator pitch evolution. Create multiple versions of your personal or professional pitch at different lengths, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and 2 minutes. Practice transitioning between them based on context. This develops your compression and expansion abilities. Start implementing these techniques in low-stakes environments. Use PrEP when explaining your weekend plans to friends. Apply the story spine when describing a film you've watched. Practice bridging during casual conversations by connecting topics to subjects you're passionate about. Weekly challenges. Challenge yourself to engage more actively in meetings, volunteer to present information, or join discussion groups where you can practice these skills. The key is consistent, progressive challenge, slightly pushing your comfort zone without overwhelming yourself. Recording and review. Record yourself practicing, audio is sufficient, and listen back critically. Notice verbal fillers, pace variations, and clarity issues. This self-awareness accelerates improvement dramatically. Remember, these skills compound over time. Small, consistent improvements in thinking speed and speaking clarity create significant long-term advantages in both personal and professional contexts.